a tutti to everybody. Buonasera a tutti. That's about all the Italian you're going to get from me today. But thank you so much for joining us. My name is David Dennenberg. I'm the Associate Director of Admissions here at the Heinz College, part of Carnegie Mellon University. And before I get started today, I want to give Laura a chance to say a few words and welcome you all. Go ahead.
Thank you so much, David, and I'm very happy to have you here today for this very interesting webinar. I would like to introduce myself. As you have heard, my name is Laura Cambriani. And today here I represent Education USA and the Fulbright Commission. I don't know if you're familiar with these names. Education USA is a network of the Department of State, and that's the official network promoting the higher education system, the American higher education system. We offer free advising sessions. So if you're interested in knowing more about the higher education system, if you would like to go to the DS to study and you would like help to choose the university and to prepare the application process, we are here for you. And we also represent the Fulbright Commission, which is a binational agency promoting cultural exchange between Italy and the US, and we offer scholarship for graduate studies. So please get in touch with us. I will leave my email so that you can get in touch with me and consider that we offer scholarship if you're interested in pursuing a master or a PhD in the US. Thank you.
Thank you, Laura. And I will just echo everything she said. Education USA is one of our most valuable partners that we have in the United States as a university and education system. Their services are free. So I encourage you to use them, to maybe not stop by the office right now because I'm not sure they're doing that, but call, email. Laura's saying not in the office. Call and email, lots of Zoom sessions.
Exactly.
Take advantage of what they have to offer because it will certainly help you in the process of looking for universities, help you in the process of understanding what kind of universities are out there, what programs are available, how to fund your degrees, how to navigate the various steps once you're admitted. So truly take advantage because they are something there that not every country who may offer exchange opportunities has available. So this is a great resource in your back pocket. Wonderful. All right, well, what we're going to do now is take a look at graduate school, a little peek behind the admissions curtain. As I said, I'm the Associate Director of Admissions. I've now worked in higher education in the admissions world for over a decade. And it's something I enjoy doing. I love talking to students, sharing with you insight into what you need to do to prepare to go to graduate school, what you need to do in order to pick the right school. That's really, really important, is picking the right school, making sure that you know what your career goals are, that that particular university can meet those goals, that you're the right fit for the university. It's actually very mutually beneficial that not only is the school right for you, but that you're the right fit for that school. So we're going to go through a variety of different things to think about today as you go into that search. As I said, I've worked in higher education for over a decade. And in terms of my credibility, I wanted to share a little bit about who I am right now, where I'm working, where I'm coming from with my point of view. And then we'll get into really the meat and potatoes here of the presentation. But so where I'm currently working right now is Carnegie Mellon University. It's one of the top universities in the country. And let me see here on my screen. There we go. And we are well known for a ton of different things. And so, we're #1 school for information technology and management, information systems. We're at the top for public policy. Data analytics is huge these days. Whether you're in the arts profession or you're in a technology profession, everybody wants to make sure that analytics and technology and all of these combining areas are coming to the forefront of your decisions. And so our programs here are helping students to make those types of decisions and use analytics and use technology and use the data that's available to them in order to make decisions. And so I'm in a school which we call a professional master's degree programs. The Heinz College is one of 7 colleges within the greater Carnegie Mellon University. So you may have heard of, there's like a School of Arts and Sciences, there's the School of Business, the School of Computer Science. Our school just happens to have a name, the Heinz College. And if you're a big fan of ketchup, like we all are here in Pittsburgh, yes, it is related to the Heinz ketchup family. However, it's not the full-on ketchup family. It was a cousin who was a senator. We started here at the Heinz College as a School of Urban and Public Affairs. And through the foundation, the Heinz Foundation, we got the name Heinz College. So Heinz College, and again, I want to give you an understanding of where I'm coming from with my point of view and what we offer before I kind of dive into the different types of programs. So we're a combination of a few different types of programs. We're a combination of a school of policy, a school of technology, and a school that offers creative enterprise, arts management, entertainment management. We throw in a data-driven curriculum, and we look to help people make decisions, be decision makers, and take what they're learning and put it into action. And so we are, again, I said this earlier, we're a professional master's degree programs. What does that mean to you? It means that when you graduate from a professional master's degree program, that you're able to dive right into the workforce. And you're able to say, I know what I'm doing. I completely understand it. I don't need to take time to figure it out because I've already done it in my graduate program. I've already had hands-on experiences. And so that's something that you're going to want to look at when you're looking at universities is, do I get those hands-on experiences versus am I just in the class where somebody is talking at? These are things that you're going to start to want to learn about each program as you go through exploration. Here at our programs, we have a variety of different types. What's really interesting and something that you'll want to do as you explore master's programs is who are the people that you're going to be studying with? For us, it's really actually important, and it's part of the foundation of who we are, is that you're learning with people who are not like you. Because when you learn with people who are not like you, you're able to come up with new creative pieces of information. So for instance, we have our schools of public policy, our schools of information systems, and our joint fine arts programs, 3 programs that you would never ever see together being housed under the same roof. And it allows people to come together and take the same core classes, but come with different conclusions. And the conversations that you have in the classroom really, really take on a much further outlook purely because of the types of people that you have in the class. Our common foundation and outcomes, there are 3. So our students, regardless of if you're a student studying arts management, studying healthcare policy, public policy, information technology, systems, you name it, everyone's taking classes related to analytics, taking classes related to technology, and then finally implementation. And that's really, that implementation piece is what turns it into a professional master's program. You have a mandatory summer internship. You have what we call a capstone project, or a project where you work with a team of about 4 or 5 students on a real project with a real client who has a real issue. And you're taking what you're learning and you're applying it in your program while you're studying instead of after you graduate. So that's a little bit about kind of the background where we're coming from, and the suggestions that I'm going to give is because we are a professional master's program. Those are some of the things that you'll want to look for depending on if that's the type of degree program you're looking for. If you're looking for something that's more research-based, you may want to go more on a thesis basis as opposed to something that has that hands-on experience. We'll dive into it in a bit more. And then finally, what I just wanted to also share is that we are familiar with students from Italy. We have long-standing relationships with Italian universities. Just in our own internal programs alone, we have a relationship with the University of Bologna and the University of Bocconi. Students from particular programs at their universities are part of our exchange program. At no additional cost to those students, they're able to do 1 semester here in Pittsburgh in our programs. So the students who are at the University of Bologna School of Economics can do arts management exchange program. And for those at Bocconi, they are able to, students in the School of Management can come and join us for a semester in our public policy and management programs. So if you happen to be connected to one of those universities, or you know somebody who is, feel free to share with them those opportunities because they're fantastic. We've had over 10 years of relationship with those universities in this exchange program. And then lastly, I just wanted to share where we're coming from in terms of location. And again, you'll see this come up in our presentation in a moment, is where you're actually going to study is really important. So we are in the city of Pittsburgh. We're in the state of Pennsylvania. And within about 7 hours drive, you could hit 8 different states: New York City, Philadelphia, Cleveland, Ohio, Columbus, Ohio, West Virginia, Maryland, Toronto, Canada, and more. And so we are in a really interesting location, beautiful city, and we are a hub for technology, healthcare, arts, and education. And so there are over 12 universities just in this city alone. And we are very much a student city. A lot of really exciting opportunities. I mentioned earlier that we have mandatory internships that students complete, and a lot of students choose to not leave Pittsburgh just because of the incredible companies that are available here. Maybe you've heard of FedEx, a shipping company. They're headquartered here. We have Google offices that are here in Pittsburgh now, Disney, Uber, and more. So it's really an interesting and unique location. All right, enough about who I am and where I'm coming from. Now to what you really came here for. Why graduate school? So, you know, that's a really important question that you want to ask yourself is, why do I want to go to graduate school? And there's a few reasons that you may be asking yourself this. One is, you know, is an advanced degree something that I need to maybe help change my career path? Maybe you've already graduated university and you're looking for something different now. Maybe you're currently working, but you're being told that in order to get that promotion, you need to have a graduate degree. Or maybe, you know, you're in school now, but you already know that end goal needs the master's degree. Maybe you're thinking about doing it then. Or maybe you're just looking to give yourself a competitive advantage, develop skills that are going to make you marketable in the job market. All of those are really valid reasons to think about graduate school. But it's important to know which reason you're applying, because you're going to need to talk about that in your letters of, in your essays that you submit as part of your application to graduate school. Admission committees in the graduate schools are not going to give you very flaky essay prompts. When I say flaky, it means, you know, they're going to say, tell me a story, you know, here's the theme of the story. In graduate school, really, the essays are more about you. Who are you? What are you interested in? What do you see yourself doing in 5, 10, 15 years from now? And how can we help you get there? And by knowing this very first step of why do you want to even go to graduate school is going to help you to write that essay. So keep that in mind if, you know, when you're at that stage to go, okay, why am I actually doing this? Another reason, of course, this is a very valid reason, is maybe you just want to make more money, right? We certainly know that a master's degree is going to provide you more funding when you come into the job market. As a matter of fact, and this is according to the US Bureau of Labor and Statistics, but a student who pursues a master's degree will earn approximately $1 million more in their career than a student who just earns a bachelor's degree. And so you can see here, the line is actually this red line for where Heinz College is we're in the middle. We are a professional master's degree. A professional degree, which you see here, that second line would be something like maybe a doctor or you know, a medical type of degree, whereas a master's degree is you know, just purely a master's, and ours is that hands-on master's degree, a professional master's degree. And then you see at the very top there, doctoral degrees. And doctoral and professional degrees typically earn the same amount, with a master's just slightly below it. We do offer PhD programs here at Carnegie Mellon and at the Heinz College. And if you'd ever want to look into those, please feel free to touch base with me. But for purposes for today, we're going to focus mainly on the master's degree programs. So the search, you know, what type of degree are you searching for? There's a variety out there. We talked about this just a minute ago, but PhD programs, master's degree programs, professional programs, technical programs. There's a lot of types of programs out there. And by asking yourself, what is my end goal, is going to be able to help you decipher what type of master's degree do you want. Some factors that you'll want to think about are the size of the program. Do you enjoy a personal experience, or do you want a really big university that has a lot, to offer, but there's over 100 students in every class? How much is it going to cost? And can I, if it does cost a lot, are there scholarships and fellowship opportunities that I could help to supplement the costs? You'll want to talk about professional development opportunities. Can I intern? Can I do a fellowship? Can I study abroad? Can I be a teaching assistant, research assistantship? The diversity of the student body. Here at Carnegie Mellon, we have students from over 100 countries represented at our university, and just here in the Heinz College alone, we have over 33. So it's a really, diverse student body here. But do you want to be with people who are just like you? Do you want to be with people who are different? There's a lot of questions there that you want to ask. And then location. Do you come from a really big city and you like that? Or do you come from a big city and you want to get away from that? Are you in the countryside and do you want to have some city excitement? Knowing the location of where the university is really important. Because not only is it important for lifestyle, but it's also important for connections. So for us, we're in an urban environment here at Carnegie Mellon, but we're in the suburbs. We're about 15 minutes from the downtown area, but it doesn't feel like a big bustling city. And because of our location, our students have access to all of these top companies for their internships, but then they can come back and be in a more, a quiet setting in the suburbs. So knowing the actual location, getting to know the university and the city is all really important as you search for a graduate program. Collecting information about the schools is really important to help you make your decision, and also, again, to help you write this essay. The more you know about the universities that you're applying to, the better you can say why it's the right fit for you and why you're the right fit for that program. So do your best to get to know the schools. Participate in any interviews that you can. Get to visit the universities if you can. Meet with different members of the faculty, staff, students. Ask about money. Don't be afraid to ask about it. We as admissions representatives expect to have that conversation. And then think about, after you've had those visits, what did I think of those people? Were they nice? Did they understand my situation? Do I think that I'm going to get a good education? Did I like the atmosphere there? Could I see myself being there for 2 years for a master's program? These are all things that you want to ask yourself. And in today's world with COVID and everything being on lockdown in a way, you actually are at an advantage. You can, I spelled advantage wrong, look at that. You can take advantage of everything being virtual right now, right? So for our purposes, we have a fall visitation and open house coming up in a couple weeks. That's entirely virtual. Typically, we would never offer this in a virtual setting, but because of COVID and the situations that we've been faced, we've changed everything. And so you as a student exploring graduate school actually have an advantage right now to be able to attend that. We've expanded our opportunities for you to speak with current students. So you can come onto our website and sign up for a current student office hours. And we offer one session every Tuesday through Friday where you can talk with a current student, no staff online, and it's just a pure unfiltered conversation where you can chat with them and get to know what their experience as a student has been. You can have a Zoom call with an admissions representative. You can watch videos of our classrooms and what that experience is like. There's so much being offered right now in a virtual setting that you can take advantage of, that it will really, really help you in exploring graduate studies. So you're in a really unique position right now. And of course, you want to make sure that you get in. So here are some things to think about when you want to get in. I'm going to help walk you through some of the things that admissions offices are looking for. What you're seeing here is what we require as a graduate school, and this is pretty similar across the board for most graduate programs. So first off, you're going to need to get transcripts sent to the university you're applying to. Some universities will allow you to send unofficial copies of a transcript. And some universities will require you to go through an evaluation process. It just depends on the university and what they are looking for. For our purposes here at the Heinz College, we ask that you go through an evaluation service. There's a number of them out there, but the three that we most commonly use are WES, ECE, Education Credential Evaluators, and then finally SpanTran. These are three that have special pricing for our applicants to be able to, do the evaluation. When I say evaluation, what it is what they'll do is they will have your home university send a transcript from that university directly to the evaluation service. The evaluation service is going to do a couple things. Number one, if the transcript is not in English, they will convert the transcript into English. Number two, they're going to do a course-by-course evaluation. They're going to look at each individual course and take the Italian grading system and convert it into a US grading system. And so this allows universities who ask for that to let everyone who's an applicant be reviewed under the exact same standard. It actually is an advantage to you as a student to have that so that you know that it's fair and equitable in the admissions process. Again, though, that being said, not every university requires that. So some universities will say, send us the unofficial transcript. They're going to do their own in-house evaluation. And then if you are admitted, they'll later ask you to send official transcripts directly from the university. Each university has their own process. It's just up to them how they want to decide to do that. A lot of graduate studies programs are going to look for letters of recommendation. These are really important. The letters of recommendation give insight, not so much as into your academics. Of course, if you're going to get one from a faculty member or a professor, they're going to talk about your academics, but they're going to talk a lot about other experiences that you've had. Your ability to work in groups, your ability to have leadership. It's really important that you find a recommender who knows you. It's all well and good to have a recommender who maybe is the mayor, or maybe is the president of your university, or somebody very high up. But make sure that if that person is your recommender, that they truly, truly know you and can talk about your abilities. If they don't know you and it's just a standard, this student was really a great student, and I think they're a wonderful person and a great addition to your graduate program, that's not going to have as much weight as a professor who says they were involved in A, B, C, and D. They have this leadership quality. They are really good at teamwork. Somebody who truly knows you is going to be really, really valuable in your application. So moral of that story is pick the right people to write your letters of recommendation. For our purposes, we require at least 2 and no more than 3 letters of recommendation. We also ask for a resume or a CV. Now, in the United States, it's very common for people to be told you have to have a 1-page resume. Here for graduate studies programs, I'm here to tell you that it's perfectly fine to have a 2-page, sometimes even a 3-page resume. This is your chance to share with the admissions committee exactly who you are and what you've done. So this is your opportunity to give them all of that information and put it out there. The more you give, the better we get to know who you are. So feel free to submit a 2-page resume. Now that essay we talked about, we have that mandatory essay, general prompt typically, where it's asking you, who are you? What are you interested in? And what do you see yourself doing in 5, 10, 15 years from now? But there's also other essays that you may find. Maybe there's a particular track in a program that you're applying to. So for instance, our public policy program has a campus in Washington, DC, and students can choose to study in the DC campus. But in order to do so, you have to write an additional essay that states why you're more interested in the DC campus as opposed to our Pittsburgh campus. Another essay opportunity could be an optional essay. We see this often where it's truly optional, and if you don't submit it, it's fine, but if you need it, it's there for you. The optional essay typically is for extra or anecdotal information. So for instance, maybe there was a class that you did really, really poorly in, and there was a reason behind it. Maybe you were taking care of a sick family member. The admission committee won't know that, but if you put that into the optional essay, that can help to kind of frame our understanding of where you're coming from and why we saw a big drop in your grades that semester. Maybe there's a gap in your resume. That kind of information is really useful to the admission committee to know, so that we're not making any guesses as to why you took time off. So if you see an optional essay there and you want to use it and you have something that you're wanting to share, I would encourage you to go ahead and fill that out. Now, we also have, most universities have a Toefl Ielts, now popular also Duolingo requirement. This is an English language proficiency test. And if your native language is not English, you will be required to complete this. The only way at our university that you're able to waive the Toefl Ielts or Duolingo requirement is if you've spent 5 or more years in the United States, Australia, or a few other select, the UK, and a few other select English-speaking countries for both work and study. And that's 5 years that you would have had to been there. So a 4-year US degree does not count towards a waiver. You would have had to spend 5 years in the United States. Each university has their own Toefl, IELTS, Duolingo score requirements. Some universities will not issue you a visa or an I-20 rather, unless you have minimum scores. Some universities offer a English language institute where you can get a conditional admission where, as long as you join their English language institute and you score, appropriately, then you can enroll in their programs. And other universities are very, very strict on their scores and don't allow you in unless you meet those minimums. And so it just depends on the university. Our purposes here at Carnegie Mellon, we do have pretty strict scores, and you do have to meet the minimums in order to be eligible for admission. And we won't issue an I-20 for students who don't meet those minimums. So you want to go onto the university's website so that you can really see what those minimum scores are, know where you fall. Both Toefl, IELTS, and Duolingo now offer online testing. Duolingo is by far and away the cheapest. I think it's only $45 to complete. Toefl and IELTS are both over $100. And a lot of schools are now accepting Duolingo. So if that's a requirement that you have to complete, definitely something you want to consider. And you'll want to definitely practice a little bit before you do the exam, get familiar with their platform. But it is something that you will need to prep as you're applying to graduate school. Then finally, the GRE and the Gmat. This is really important to talk about because a lot of graduate schools in the United States do require the GRE and the Gmat. They are standardized tests that help to understand where a student's academic abilities are. The 3 common areas of the GRE and the Gmat are a verbal section, a quantitative section, and a writing section. The GRE is most common for master's programs, but a Gmat is more common for an MBA type program, a business degree program. If you're considering a professional degree like medical school, you'll have to look at the MCAT. If you're considering a professional program like a law school, you'll want to look at the LSAT. So just know that there's a variety of types of standardized tests out there that universities require. But as you can see right here, the GRE and Gmat has become optional for us for 2022. It was optional last year for a lot of universities because of COVID and access to the exams. With the exams now being available online, we've made it optional so that for those of you who maybe want to give yourself an advantage in the application process, you can certainly submit scores for that. But if you feel you don't want to, you feel that everything else you've submitted is strong, then you can go ahead and skip it. So that's something that you'll want to ask universities in advance is do you require the GRE or Gmat? For our application purposes, you see we don't charge an application fee, and also there's no separate application to be considered for scholarships, and I'll talk about scholarships in just a moment. So what do you need to be a successful applicant? These are things that the graduate admission committees look for. Number one, and most importantly, a demonstrated commitment. We want to know that you are in this for the long haul, that you are truly going to go through the program and give us your all. We want to look for students who have leadership qualities, students who are willing to be comfortable to speak up in the classroom, who want to make sure that they're leaders in their field when they graduate. We're looking for students who have clear and defined goals for graduate education. Going back to that essay here again, having clear goals is going to be really, really useful to you as you're looking at a graduate program and looking to know where you want to go. Certainly, we're looking for relevant experience, relevant education. So, we're going to look at your resume. We're going to look at any previous internships you had, any projects you maybe had worked on, and not only just the education as a whole, what type of degree, but individual courses. So for instance, again, we talked earlier about how Heinz College, we're very quantitative and analytic in our core. And so we want to know that our students have taken maths related courses. And we want to know that you are at least familiar with certain foundational types of courses that will then, build off of in your graduate studies. If you're going to take the GRE and Gmat, competitive test scores, same thing goes for the Toefl or the Ielts, and then a demonstrated potential for academic success. So these are some things that we look for as an admission committee when reviewing applications. You want to make sure you try and tick off all those boxes because that will certainly give you an advantage in the admissions process. All that being said, everything counts though. We ask for a ton of things. So you can see here at the bottom of the screen, everything that we ask for in our admissions process. And that's because in all honesty, it all counts and it all holds equal weight. Most universities nowadays hold what's called a holistic application review process. What does that mean? That means that we are looking at all of the individual pieces. And if you took the GRE and you submit the scores and you didn't do so well, that doesn't mean you're not admissible. It just means that you may not be a good test taker, but there are other things in your application that the admission committee might see that tells them otherwise that you're still going to be a successful student. So everything that you submit in the application is used to make a decision, and they all hold equal and valuable weight. That's really, really, really important to know. Don't not apply to a school just because all of a sudden you're worried about a school. Don't not apply to a school because you don't necessarily fit the band of what you see on their website. It doesn't mean that students with your background aren't going to their programs. You just might be unique in what you have to offer and what your goals are. But there are always ways that you can improve the odds. So if you are going to take the GRE and Gmat, certainly you want to maybe prepare for that. Same thing goes for the Toefl and Ielts. Go ahead and prepare, take a practice test. Go to the library and take out a practice book just so you're familiar. Education USA has a ton of resources on both the Toefl, the Ielts, the GRE and the Gmat, so you can take advantage of what they have. If you're still in school, keep up with your grades, make sure that you're still performing strong. Take advantage of participation in research projects, independent study projects. Let the faculty know who you are. Participate in your faculty's office hours. Get to know them so that they can then write a valuable letter of recommendation for you. Find internships that match your career aspirations. Two reasons. One, so that you make sure that, okay, you truly like that field, because you wouldn't want to go to a graduate school, spend money, and then not like what you're doing, right? But number two is because if you do that internship, you're showing that professional experience even before you get to graduate school, and that can help the admission committee to know that you've got the skills already available to build further. Explain any anomalies in your record. That's what that optional essay is for. And then apply by the deadline. It's very important to adhere to deadlines, so make sure to kickstart your research now. We're talking early enough that you've got plenty of time. For our purposes, our application deadline is January 10th, and you truly have up until January 10th to submit an application. So scholarships, and I'm going to leave some time for questions, so we'll be wrapping up soon here. But scholarships, a lot of universities offer scholarships, including to international students. Make sure you ask that question. Do you provide scholarships to international students? In our application, you'll actually find that there's a question in the application that asks, would you like to be considered for merit-based scholarships or fellowships? And it's a yes or no question. I'm going to knock you upside your head if you answer no, okay? Make sure you answer yes. It does not hurt your chances of admission to say, yes, I want to be considered for scholarship. Sometimes students think that if I say no, they don't want any scholarship, that it's going to increase their chances of admission. That is not the case. Scholarship consideration and admissions consideration are completely separate. So if you want to have some funding assistance, answer yes to that question. As you can see here, over 90% of our students receive some type of merit-based aid. 90%. That's really, really strong. So go ahead and submit your strongest application. There is no separate application that you need to be considered for scholarship. So when you apply to our programs, you're going to have everything reviewed first for admission. And then if you are admitted, everything that you used in your application will then be used to award you a scholarship. Now, scholarships are usually awarded at the time of admission. And so when you get your letter of admission, you will also in that letter of admission, or sometimes in a separate letter, also receive a scholarship offer. This is what admission committees are looking for when you're being considered for scholarship. Are you the right fit for the program? Do you show commitment to that field? Do you have those clearly and defined goals? So that's your essay. Your resume, do you have relevant experience or demonstrated leadership? The test scores, and again, they're optional now, but if you want to give yourself a competitive advantage, take the GRE Gmat, submit those scores, especially if they're strong, because that could help you earn a little bit more money. Your transcripts, are you showing a strong academic record? And then finally, those letters of recommendation. They're all used to then help come up with a scholarship or a fellowship opportunity. Now, some universities will have additional ways that you can get a scholarship or funding. In our purposes, we have a laundry list of strategic partners, and you could look through this list or take a screenshot and see it's also on our website. But there are organizations and institutions around the world that we have partnered with that allow you to receive funding anywhere from $7,000 to $12,000 per semester and more, just for being a member of a partner organization. So ask those questions once again to the schools. Are you affiliated with any partner organizations that I might be connected to? And look into them, because they can certainly help you along the way. And we talked about the timeline. So keep to your timeline. January 10th is the deadline for our program purposes. And what we do is from January till about mid-March is when the applications are reviewed. Most students will not receive their admission decision until mid-March, and then you'll have till about mid-April, so about 1 month, to make a decision. During that time, that 1 month period, you're going to find that all of the schools are hosting a ton of, again, information sessions, campus visits, all kinds of ways to make sure that you truly, now that you know you're admitted, can ask questions, make sure it's the right fit program for you. And then finally, on around April 15th, you'll have to provide a decision. So that's the timeline for a graduate student. You're in the prime of your research right now. I would say starting mid-December is when you want to really start to finalize your essay. If you hadn't taken any of the GRE Gmat exams, mid-December is also around the time when you want to start to make sure that you have those exams signed up. And time slots for the GRE Gmat, also for the Toefl and Ielts, fill up very quickly. So if you are truly considering graduate school and considering it now, register for those exams now before the spots expire in your location, because they will run out of spots. That's really important to keep in mind. And with the admissions process, we talked about this, but know and meet your application deadlines. Keep in mind that manners count. When you interact with the admissions office, every interaction is tracked, right? When you have a Zoom call with an admissions advisor, if you're late, they're going to take note of that. If you're rude in your call with them, they may take note of that, right? So manners count. Everybody who you encounter, even students, anyone who you encounter in the exploration of your master's programs and your application, it's very important that you are on your best behavior and you put your best foot forward. And then finally, treat the process like a job, right? This is going to be your full-time experience in the coming future, so you want to treat it full-time right now. We recognize that you have your studies or maybe a job that you're focusing on now, but having time set aside to search for the right program, apply for that program, apply for scholarships, looking up scholarships. It's really important that you take the time to get the full vast of information. And we want you to learn more, right? Here we've got our fall visitation event that I talked about coming up. If you like what you learned on the Heinz College, I encourage you to come to our Heinz College specific sessions. If you are familiar with other schools and what they have to offer, attend their information sessions, talk to their offices. But as an admissions representative, we just want you to make sure that you know the program in and out and that you can ask the questions that you need to ask. So in order to learn more from our programs, I encourage you to go to our website, heinz.cmu.edu. We've got a ton of information on there, previous webinars that have been recorded that you can watch, headlines, things happening in the news here on our campus, and more. So certainly check it out. And then finally, and this is my last slide, is my contact information. So at the top here, you can see our general email address. That is actually run by our current students. So if you have any questions and you want to submit questions to current students, hnzadmit@andrew.cmu.edu is where you can connect with our current students. Give them about 24 to 48 hours to get back to you. And then if you have any questions directly for me, that's my direct email address, and I'd be more than happy to answer them. So at this time, I will open up the floor to questions and for Laura to share anything that she wanted to add. So please, whether you want to use the chat or just unmute yourself, happy to answer anything.
So David, thank you so much. It was a very interesting and informative session, and I learned so much about Carnegie Mellon University. And actually, I have a couple of questions, so we will give time to the attendees to prepare to ask questions, but I have
Please,
one.
yes.
Because you mentioned that the GRE and Gmat are not mandatory for 2022. And so I would like to know whether, since you're not, students are not supposed to take the Gmat or the GRE, they can, but they are, they don't have to. And seeing this, do the essays and the recommendation letters count more towards their success in the application process?
That's a good question. So the answer is we'll have if you do not submit the GRE and the Gmat scores, what will hold a little bit more weight will be your transcripts. For the purposes of Heinz College, when we are asking students to take the GRE and the Gmat, what we are looking for is to understand a student's writing abilities and to understand their quantitative abilities. There's a lot of writing exercises in our degree programs, and there's a lot of quantitative nature in our degree programs. And so if you are not going to submit the GRE and Gmat, we are going to then look at your transcripts to see, have you taken quantitative related courses? Did you take maths related courses? And if so, how did you do? Or did you take classes that involved a lot of writing? And again, how did you do? And so we're going to look to the transcripts if the student doesn't submit the GMAT to help kind of fill that void. If you're a student who's applying, for instance, to our information systems and management program, that is a very technical program. It's a mixture of kind of a computer science degree and an MBA, and you must have an understanding of quantitative courses. So if you do not take the GRE or GMAT, you better have pre-calculus algebra, statistics, linear algebra, those types of courses on your transcript. If you don't have those types of courses, then you should seriously consider taking the GRE or GMAT, because then you can show the admission committee that you know that content, even though it's not in your transcript. So that's where it becomes a bit of optional, for students to say, hey, okay, I think I have the courses available. that they're looking for. So I'm not going to spend that time or money taking the GRE GMAT. But if you don't, you should take it because it will give you that competitive advantage.
Okay. And I have a couple more questions. I don't see any questions, so please feel free to write anything. I mean, even something that maybe you would like David to emphasize, maybe something.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be about.
Shy.
It doesn't have to be about Carnegie Mellon. It could be about just graduate studies in general. You know, things to think about as you're studying or searching for graduate studies. I'm happy to answer any types of questions. I've been in the field a long time now.
So I have one tricky question and then one more specific question to Carnegie Mellon. My tricky question is about the GRE calculation. Are international students supposed to calculate the GRE? Maybe you mentioned something during your presentation, because there is no official conversion. I missed the word.
Sure, I know what you mean. So you're not talking about the GRE. You're talking about the GPA.
The GPA, not the GRE. I'm sorry. So there is no official conversion.
Correct. So when you,
let's call it.
Yeah, when you use the evaluation services, they do offer on their websites a free conversion kit. It's not 100% accurate. But what I would say is if you're you use those resources, but the evaluation services are going to be able to give you the true evaluation. You know, for our purposes here at Heinz College, because we don't charge an application fee, you're saving over 100, sometimes hundreds of dollars on application fees. And you can use that to spend on the evaluation itself. And then you have it available not only for Carnegie Mellon, but for other universities. And you can just send that to them without worrying about doing it later on.
Sure.
And so you can use the savings that we provide to go ahead and just complete the evaluation now. But it is very tough. There's a lot of resources that are online to help with evaluations. And I know Education USA also provides a ton of resources to help you to understand, okay, where do your grades stand compared to another, university's grades? But certainly that's something that, if you're working with an admissions committee member, or you're working with an admissions representative like myself, and you're not sure where your grades stand, let us know. We can tell you where, we've seen transcripts from Italian schools before. We know, what it looks like, and we can also help you to decipher, are you competitive in your application?
Thank you so much. Very interesting. Very interesting. There's a question if you wanted to take a look at it.
Sure. So the question's asking, I would like to know if we have to advance the money privately and then the university pays it back. Are you asking, you may want to provide some clarification, either feel free to put it in the chat or in the unmute yourself, but are you speaking of for scholarship? Like
the merit scholarship you mentioned, David mentioned before?
Yeah, so they're asking about scholarships. So the answer is no. It's if you receive a scholarship from the university, it will automatically be reduced on your final tuition bill. So for instance, if you were to get a 30% scholarship from the Heinz College, you'd have on your payments the cost of tuition minus 30%, and then you'd have your out-of-pocket costs. And when you also are applying for your I-20, one of the things that you have to present when you apply for an I-20 is your finances. And so if you receive a scholarship, you'll also submit your scholarship letter, and you only have to show the amount minus your scholarship. You don't have to show the full amount. So you want to certainly make sure you apply for the scholarship so that you don't have to have that full amount available to show when you're applying for your I-20.
So please click yes, select yes. and let me jump in, because as I mentioned at the beginning of the presentation, today we also represent Fulbright, if you don't see any sign of it. And Fulbright, la Commissione Fulbright, offers scholarship if you're interested in a master or a PhD in the US. And the amount of the scholarship from this year is up to up to $50,000. So, I mean, has been increased, and so now it's a very interesting amount. So think about applying also for a Fulbright scholarship.
And I'll just add in with, if I can, with the Fulbright.
Yes,
on our strategic
please go ahead.
On our strategic partner list that I showed earlier, Fulbright is one of our strategic partners. And so if you receive a Fulbright scholarship, Heinz College will provide you with a 50% scholarship, which pretty much helps cover the entire cost of a degree program. Wow,
that's very interesting. Yeah, and I mean, so the students applying to Carnegie Mellon should mention that they are also applying to the Fulbright Commission in their home country.
Yes, if you happen to be applying for Fulbright, in our application, there's a separate section of partners, and you can list up to 3 different partner organizations that you're affiliated with, and then that will automatically consider you for the partner scholarships.
Cool. And then there's another question, David.
Yeah, so somebody's asking, could we point out some tips on how to write a good essay or letter, a presentation, whether they're applying to the master's or PhD, and how many pages should it be? Well, each university is slightly different, but for our purposes, we have a 1,000-word essay. We're not really counting the words, so if it's a little over or a little under, that's fine. But it turns into 1,000 words is about a 2-page essay. And again, most universities for graduate studies, and this includes a PhD program, will have a very general prompt. They want to know, the prompt will ask, who are you? What are you interested in? What do you see yourself doing in 5, 10, 15 years from now? And how can Heinz College or how can X college help you get there? For PhD, they will usually ask an additional essay that wants you to talk about your research. And you'll also then present any research that's related to it. So you'll want to talk about what are your research areas, which faculty members at the university match your research areas, where you want to take your past research and drive it, what resources are available at that university, and how can you take advantage of them. Everything comes back to, if you start to do your homework now and you attend as many information sessions as you can, and you get to know the program as best as you can, the easier it's going to be able to write these essays.
Okay, thank you so much. One last question is about the perfect fit. Because as Education USA advisor, we insist on the importance of the perfect fit, and we also try to explain why it is so important and what the perfect fit is for us. And so I would like to ask you, so what does the perfect fit means to you? So I mean, because it's a mutual, combination of the student. What's the ideal international students for Carnegie Mellon University?
Sure. So there's a lot. That's what we call a loaded question. But number one is a perfect fit is unique to each and individual student, first and foremost. So there are students in the more general sense that when we look at an international student, we think about when they graduate, could they be a good ambassador for us? An ambassador in the sense that when they return to their home country, are they going to be somebody who we are comfortable that they represent Carnegie Mellon University when they get back home, right? So is that student somebody who shows leadership quality? That's a really important fit piece. Are they going to be somebody who's going to have unique thoughts and experiences? somebody who has already had some previous experiences. We talked about how it's a professional master's program, and there's a lot of hands-on work that we do in our master's programs. And so part of that fit is making sure that we've got students who have had some type of experience in the past, whether that was an internship or full-time work. Knowing that you've had a professional experience in a work setting, working with other people and not just in the academic setting, that's really important. If you don't, and you've only maybe done research at a university, then you might be a better fit for a more research-driven university than a university that offers a professional master's program. So it's all about the individual degree program and the students. You know, we've got our arts programs, and a student who's coming to us with a technology degree isn't going to necessarily be applying to an arts program. But if you're coming to an arts program with a technology degree that you've applied it in arts, then it may make sense. And so knowing the profile of the student and the profile of the program and what you have to offer and what that program has to offer, it's just making sure that they line up. It's very important that they line up.
Wow.
And then finally, I would just say comfort. Making sure that you're comfortable seeing yourself there for however long that degree program is. Again, all those things that we went through earlier in this presentation of, is the location right? Do I like the people who I've interacted with? Do I think I'm gonna have that kind of career when I graduate based on, you know, the careers of other graduates? All of that matters in the fit for you at the university.
Very, very interesting. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, David, really. I don't see any other questions. And so, I mean, you've been, no, I mean, I don't see other questions. So, I mean, I don't want to.
Sure. Well, I'll put my email address one more time here in the chat for everybody. Is that right? Yeah. Okay, so that's my email right there in the chat. So again, if you have any questions about graduate studies in general, or about Carnegie Mellon University's Heinz College, please feel free to reach out, and I'd be more than happy to answer your questions. I am keeping my fingers crossed that I'll have the chance to be in Rome next year and give this presentation.
Hopefully we will organize a live session. Why not?
Absolutely. And to you, Laura, again, thank you so much for hosting this.
No. Thank you so much for accepting, I mean, our invitation, and hopefully see you soon in person or virtually.
Certainly.
Thank you, David. Have a good day.
Thank you, everybody, for attending. I appreciate it.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.